Wolf blew up his own teammates. That's how British sniper Dugan died, and how the cold-blooded killer Wolf was born. He used to work for a secret British Spec Ops unit. His job was to take out high-ranking Taliban. On their last mission, he and his partner nailed the target. They got the job done, clean and fast, so Command gave them a 2-day break. During that time, they ran into a gang member. The guy offered them £20 million for a private kill. They took the deal in secret. Soon, the target showed up in their scope. He didn't even get in the car. Headshot, clean kill. Later, the client paid up. Double rate, £40 million, just like that. But then, a new mission came in. This time, they had to capture a Taliban officer alive. The intel said he'd show up at a family wedding, so they rolled out in 2 pickups. Dugan's job was to cover the team and keep them safe. The trucks reached the wedding house, but the language barrier made things tense fast. Just then, the lookout spotted a sniper aiming at them. Dugan didn't hesitate. He pulled the trigger, but before the guy dropped, he fired too. The shot threw both sides into panic. Someone on the other side ran for an RPG. British machine guns opened up immediately. The bullets ripped through the wall like paper. The fire kept coming. No one cared about civilians anymore. The scene turned into a massacre. Dugan saw everything. He sprinted over, trying to stop the killing, but it was already too late. When the sniper team showed up, they watched their own squad wipe out innocent people. Right there, Dugan wanted out. But to cover it all up, the squad leader lied to HQ. He claimed they were hit by a large enemy force. Then he pulled out a red flare. He lit it and tossed it onto the roof. Airstrike was on the way. Dugan had no choice but to jump in the truck. The red smoke made the house an easy target. Moments later, a bomb dropped from the sky. The whole place turned to rubble. The captain finally relaxed, but Dugan made up his mind. He was done. At a fork in the road, he told them to stop. He was going to stage a fake ambush. He called his partner to go with him, hoping to save at least this one man. The rest waited by the truck. Dugan picked up a mine detector and started scanning the ground like it was real. Then he pulled out a probing needle, moving slowly toward a pile of rocks. Suddenly, he froze like he found something, but he pulled out a kid's tricycle from the rocks. Everyone laughed. The tension vanished. The captain ordered everyone back in the truck, but Dugan slipped out a tiny phone. He waited till all of them got on, then hit the button without blinking. One blast, and the butchers were dust. That blast also erased the sniper named Dugan. Turns out, he had planted a bomb under the truck earlier, and that little phone was the trigger. That day, Sniper Dugan died in Afghanistan, and the lone killer Wolf. A top-tier killer has to fire 6 seconds early to predict the target's next move. The bullet lands right on the head. One shot, instant kill. The bodyguard grabs binoculars and starts scanning the area, but the shooter's still standing there, letting the scope reflect light on purpose. He wants to be seen. As soon as he knows he's spotted, he breaks down the rifle and hides it in a suitcase. Then he calmly arms a timed bomb and walks away like nothing happened. He only blows up the room, so no one will track him. Before leaving, he hits the fire alarm to draw all the cops over. Meanwhile, he gets into a car he parked earlier and drives off. When the police swarm the hotel, he just smirks in the car. Then he makes a U-turn and drives right back to the parking lot, because his real escape car is hidden there. After switching cars, even if the first one got caught on camera, it leads nowhere. By the time SWAT storms into the room, they step right into his trap. The explosion wipes out everything. No fingerprints, no trace. The decoy car also goes up in flames, erasing the rest of the evidence. He vanishes like a ghost, but just then, he hits a roadblock. Checkpoints outside the city are heavily guarded. Every single car is getting pulled over. Even though he's dressed like a lawyer, the cops still flag him down. They ask him to pop the trunk. Sure enough, there's a suitcase that could fit a sniper rifle. But after searching it for a while, the officer says it's clean and waves him through. Turns out the rifle's not in the suitcase. It is the suitcase. The handle pulls out and snaps into a scope. The support rods turn into the barrel. Even the zipper heads are actually wheels with 4 bullets hidden inside. The setup is so slick, even scanners wouldn't catch it. When the police hear about it, the distance from the hotel to the target was 3,815 meters. And the world record? Only 3,540. Back at his place, he logs into the dark web to collect his $3.75 million payment. But after waiting forever, the client just replies with 2 cold words. His hand starts shaking in rage. It's the first time anyone dared to stiff him. He lets out a low laugh. The top hitman just got stiffed. Now he's coming to collect. He flew back to Spain and logged into the dark web. But right there, he saw the client had refused to pay the $3.75 million. Worse, the guy even cursed him out. He messaged the bank, asking to trace the account that sent the advance. But the bank replied, it's an overseas account, and they couldn't verify who it belonged to. With no other choice, he packed up and headed to Germany. He hadn't even been home a full day before he was back on the move. His wife, not knowing anything, dropped him off at the airport. But the second he got out, he called a cab. Then he took off his wedding ring. To hide the fact he was married, he went to his private storage unit, pulled out passports and cash from different countries. He grabbed the German one, then walked out like nothing happened. But just then, as he got into another cab, his wife drove by and saw him. A bad feeling hit her right away. She called him fast. but the phone was off. That's when she started thinking, maybe he's cheating on her. She went home and told the whole story to her family, saying he'd make sure justice gets served. Meanwhile, Matt had already landed in Germany. He was driving to the bank. Now disguised as a bald, middle-aged man, he looked nothing like before. He followed the plan and walked into the bank, asking about the account that sent the money. The manager checked, said the $3.75 million came from a company account. But if he wanted more details, he'd have to dig them up himself. So Matt started tracing it online. The company turned out to be a sub of Touring Corp based in the Netherlands. Then he checked Touring. It belonged to Dubois Corp, registered in France. But Dubois was also just a sub, registered in the UK. Layer after layer, it felt like peeling a never-ending onion. Clearly, the client knew how to stay hidden. But Matt had access to offshore accounts worldwide, and he kept digging. Finally, he traced it all the way back to a local German company. On their homepage, he found photos from their company party. He zoomed in and scanned every face. After flipping through dozens of photos, he found him, the man who told him to screw off. Now it's game time. The client tried to stiff him, so the hitman drove over to pick him up, personally. He didn't talk, just took out the client's private driver. Then he slipped into the driver's seat like nothing happened. Next, he pulled up to pick up Hans. Hans had become the CEO of a tech company. He once hired someone to kill his own father, the president. To force the president out, the hitman had crippled Hans himself. That's why Hans refused to pay the rest. He even threw in a friendly international insult just for fun. Matt picked him up like usual, acting calm the whole way. But halfway through the ride, he shot the bodyguards in the front and back seats. Then he ditched the convoy and drove off solo. The other cars went after him full speed, but Matt veered onto a scaffold and carved out his own path. He lost them in seconds. Once the car stopped in a quiet spot, Matt turned and pointed a gun at Hans. Hans saw the familiar barrel and finally figured it out. He panicked and said he'd pay everything. He even explained, when a hitman drops $1 million job just to dig up his client's identity, it's clearly not about the money anymore. Matt smirked, then sent that same international insult right back. Fuck. And right after, he sent Hans and his dad straight to hell. But he forgot one thing. Their whole conversation had been recorded. Matt changed clothes fast, stuffed the bodies and the bomb into the trunk. When Hans's guard came to check, the bomb went off and launched him into the air. Matt kicked the door open and vanished from the scene. He couldn't help calling his wife Mary. She said she missed him, but then asked for a video call to check where he was. She also brought up the taxi he took after the airport. Matt denied it, and turned on his camera to prove he was alone. The place looked empty. No way there was someone else. Still, Mary felt off. She had no idea what her husband really did for a living. They barely spent time together, always apart. She hung up, angry and frustrated. Then she stormed into his room to look around. She followed a strange sound and opened a hidden panel in the wall. Inside was a locked safe. Now she was sure he was hiding something. She made up her mind to dig up the truth. She pulled her family in and started studying the house layout. And sure enough, behind the mirror was a section that controlled several zones, perfect for a secret room. They kept looking and finally found the door. What they were about to see would blow their minds. Meanwhile, the hitman got a new $20 million deposit. Just as he was prepping for the next job, Jensen